Welcome back to another episode of Realigned and Unfiltered. Today, we're diving into a fascinating piece of the subconscious transformation process, something that bridges both neuroscience and the language of the soul, submodalities. If you've ever wondered why certain memories feel heavy and others light, or why some habits feel impossible to let go of, even when you logically know better, this episode will open that inner code for you. This episode comes as a follow-up to our bonus from episode 2, where we played with a process called mapping across, where we engaged neuroplasticity in real time. So, this week, we're taking a step back to understand how that happens. By the end of this episode, you'll not only understand the neuroscience behind this, but you'll also have a simple exercise you can use anytime to transform a limiting feeling into an empowering one, or addiction into freedom. Because when you learn to change the structure of your inner experience, you unlock the freedom to feel differently, instantly. So, find a quiet space, take a deep breath, and let's begin exploring the inner architecture of your mind, where perception becomes transformation. You are not stuck. You are safe, and you are free.
This is Realigned and Unfiltered.
Together, we're peeling back the layers, exploring consciousness, and transforming life's messiness into meaning. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Realigned and Unfiltered. Hi, Diana.
Hey.
So this week we wanted to do something a little different, switch it up from the really big topics that we've been covering. And I actually wanted to do something that has come in as a request. Multiple requests, actually. For those of you who have not watched the bonus episode from episode 2, take a minute and go back and watch it, or listen to this and then go back and watch it, because this is an update on what the heck Diana did to me when she started trying to help me get off of coffee. So, Diana, what was it called again?
We shifted submodalities.
Right. So it's called
And
shifting submodalities.
yeah.
So I had said, why don't you do a modality, do one of your NLP practices live on this podcast. Just do one on me. And we hadn't really planned it. She just said, yeah, okay, I've got one that I can do in a good 20 minutes. And when we got on, she said, let's shift some kind of food that you don't want to eat anymore. And I was like, this is good timing, because I needed to go off coffee for something that I had going on, and I love coffee. So Diana runs me through this little practice. I was like, I have no idea if this is going to work. I don't know that my mind is so suggestible. I know how this stuff works. I do stuff like this myself. And it worked. It works. So I had multiple people text me, people who watch the podcast who know me texted me, oh my gosh, what did that woman do to you? Did it work? And then I've had clients of mine who have seen the episode come to session and be like, tell me, do you like coffee still? And so it's been really, really fun to have so many people asking. So I thought, you know what, it's best, let's do a little update. So it did work. It did work. Diana, I shared this with you. It did work. The interesting thing is I haven't craved coffee once since. And so what's interesting to me is what I was actually picturing when you asked me to picture it was I was picturing my oat milk latte that I get on Saturday mornings. So that's, my husband brings me a latte on Saturday mornings in bed, and that's like my very special thing. I have not once had one of those since then. I haven't once wanted one. And to be quite honest, when I think of them, I get kind of the I get kind of the ick, the matcha latte ick, which is kind of sad because I love that drink. But coffee as a whole, I have stopped drinking coffee in the morning completely. I don't crave it. I don't feel like I need it. I love a hot beverage. So I will go into the kitchen and think like, well, normally I would be pouring my coffee right now, but let me just make myself a tea. And
Yeah.
that sort of just
Yeah.
satisfies it. And then this was an interesting thing to realize. I went to my favorite cafe. It's in the capital city here in the Dominican Republic. I went with a friend.
Okay.
We went to my favorite cafe and I looked at the coffee menu and I decided to go for a golden milk, not a coffee at all. And then a chai latte, again, not a coffee. Um,
Yeah.
didn't even drink coffee in my very favorite cafe.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that is super cool. Yeah.
yeah, so it's super cool because I've realized, like, I don't need it, I don't really want it.
Right.
Every once
Right.
in a while in the afternoon, it doesn't make me feel sick to think about or anything as a
Right.
whole, but every once in a while in the
We did a light
afternoon
shift for you. Yeah.
it was a light shift, but it was very effective. It was very effective.
Right.
And so every once in a while in the afternoon, I will notice like I'm having a bit of an energy slump and I don't feel like one of my natural tinctures today. I just feel like a little. So I'll go to my espresso maker and I'll make myself like a little espresso and that's
Yeah.
nice. It doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't fill my soul the way coffee used to fill my soul though. It's just kind of like, yeah, sometimes I don't even finish it. On some mornings, my husband is sitting outside doing his reading, having his coffee, and I'll go out and sit with him and I'll pour myself half a cup. And I usually don't even finish it. I just kind of have a few sips
Yeah.
and then put it down, which is anybody who knows me knows I love
Yeah.
my coffee. And it is a
Mhm.
crazy thing to think that I'm not drinking coffee anymore, not needing
Yeah.
it, not wanting it.
And and that's what I want to get into explaining because just you explained it well. Like you still have the option of drinking coffee anytime you want.
Absolutely.
But what
Yeah.
we did is shifted the way you're craving for it. We distanced it in your mind, right? We distanced the coding of how it's experienced internally. And that's
Right.
where we'll break down a little bit to give some of that explanation here.
Yeah. Well,
Because you still like you're still gonna have the option anytime you want, but the way you feel towards that coffee has shifted,
this
right?
is exactly
'Cause
it. This is exactly it. So I've been trying to explain to people like I'm not wanting it, but I can still have it. It's not
yeah,
disgusting to me, but I don't.
right.
And I really, honestly, as much as I understand the brain and as much as I understand shifting things, I feel like even I don't totally understand what you did,
Mhm,
and I'm
mhm.
excited about it because you're actually gonna teach me this process so that I can offer it to clients. And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people ask me, "Do you do this for the public? Can people come to
Mhm.
you for it?" And I said, "Perhaps she would be so willing." But I thought today maybe we just take a little bit of time and you actually break down and explain what is this reprocessing that you did? Why did it work so well? And I've had a few people
Mhm.
ask me specifically, "Please ask her what the heck was going on with the popcorn."
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
with
I
the
was just
popcorn?
kind of clearing the screen.
All right,
That's
I'm
funny.
gonna hand this episode over more to Diana now because I think she can explain things to us, and I'll just kind of reflect as we go. But yeah, Dee, teach us. What the heck did you do to me?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So this is super cool. And this was one of the first things I also learned when I got into NLP and the submodalities. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what is this? And when I started putting these things into practice and putting these processes, I was like, oh, it started shifting a lot for me too. So yeah, let's kind of break that in some more. So submodalities, think about submodalities. I'll kind of break that down first. Think of submodalities as the language of our nervous system. They're the fine details of how our brain and our body is storing the meaning of something. So it's not just what you think about something, but it's how you think about it, the
Mm-hmm.
brightness of it. And as if you remember, and you go back to that session, we went through the brightness of it, the
Mm-hmm.
distance, the size, the tone, the texture, the feeling of the internal movie, right?
Yeah, was it close to me? Was it
Right.
my point of view or was I dissociated from it? Yeah, it was really
Mm-hmm.
unique, the
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So every experience that we've ever recorded and in our brain, it's again, I'm always going to go back to that network of neurons that are firing together.
Mhm.
The neuroscientist Donald Hebb's law, cells that fire together wire together. So when a memory or a belief is activated, those same patterns refire. And what's interesting is that it doesn't store our brains don't store truth or fact, they store representation. So those are like, again, those sensory details that are the internal codes that we have in our brain. Our brain stores things as representational systems. So in
Okay.
NLP, in neurolinguistic programming, we call these details, the fine qualities of our systems, the submodalities. So they're like you could think of it also like the building blocks of the inner world. So, and then I also brought up thinking about them like the settings of our remote control of our, like when you're putting the settings of your TV, the visual of it, you want to dim it. Is the image bright or dim? Is it near or far? You could do that with the control on your TV, right? Or your
Right.
projector or whatever.
Yeah.
So thinking of them like the settings of our internal movie. So the main three that we focus on is visually, again, is the image bright or dim? Is it near or far? The auditory is the voice. How is the voice of this image or this belief or this thought that you're having? Is it harsh? Is it gentle? Is it loud? Is it soft? And then the kinesthetically, these are the three main representations. Kinesthetically, it's also what's the feeling of it? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it still? Is it moving? Um,
Mm-hmm.
e- each one of these qualities determines how much of the emotional charge that experience holds in our body and in our
The
mind.
emotional charge. Okay. So we've got the
The emotional
kinesthetic,
charge.
the emotional charge, and
Kinesthetic, the visual, and the auditory. Those are the main three. There's other representation systems, but that's a different, it's a
so
different thing that we'll
kinesthetic,
get into.
visual, and auditory,
Auditory. Mhm.
and all of those explain the emotional charge.
Right. They're the coding of how we're seeing and feeling and hearing the thought or the belief internally, and then we have an emotional charge. So now let me explain a little bit from a neuroscience perspective, because we've talked about the amygdala, right? The amygdala being the
Mhm.
emotional center, it highlights the emotion of those images or the beliefs or the thoughts we have. And
Uh-huh.
then we have, I haven't brought this up, but we have the hippocampus. And I like to
Mhm.
think of the hippocampus, um, it's right it's right next to the amygdala. And so the amygdala, she's like, alarming emotional sensor. The hippocampus, I think of the hippocampus, I think of a little hippo
Of
because of
course.
the word
How could
hippo.
you think of anything else?
And I think of it with like little glasses, and it's a storyteller. The hippocampus is like the mind's storyteller. So it's linking the emotions of, how of the amygdala to where and when something happens. It gives every feeling the context, a sense of context. So this
Okay.
amygdala and the hippo, they're working together, okay?
Okay, so I'm hearing the hippo context.
Okay, there you go. I love that. Hippo context. That's good. I love that.
Okay.
So when you remember or you imagine something very vividly, your hippocampus, your hippo, and your amygdala, they actually light up in your brain together.
Mhm.
And then create those same patterns as if they're happening right now. And this is why it's so cool to me. This is why imagination is so powerful, because your brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and then what's imagined. So these things are still lighting up, whether you're thinking of them or they're right in front of you. If you think about them and you believe them, those sensors, those systems in your mind, your hippocampus, your amygdala, they're still lighting up regardless,
Mhm. Well, this is why
And
people talk
so,
about visualization being so
yes,
powerful, and
right.
when we're meditating and visualizing on our future that we want. I'm sure that I just did some kind of a spoiler. So
No, 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 exactly. Yeah, yeah. So when we change our submodalities, the qualities, those are the inner details of those imagined experiences, you're teaching your hippocampus to write a new story. And then your amygdala, Thea, is able to respond differently to the story. So
So
that's
Tia
how
can
we,
stop freaking out if the hippocampus,
yeah.
if hippo context says this context is okay.
Yes. So that's how we literally recode the emotional reactions, our emotional reality from the inside out, is by teaching our hippo and our amygdala to react and to feel differently about something.
Wow.
So when something feels like anything you think of, when something feels like close and bright and loud and large inside of your mind,
Mhm.
I mean, you know this very well. Your nervous system perceives it as immediate and important. right? This is
Yeah.
loud, this is big, this is right in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, your body's responding, your heart rate changes, stress
Mhm.
hormones, right? Your focus narrows. So, but then on the other hand, when you experience is coded as something that is dim, far away, it's quiet, the brain categorizes that a lot less urgent. It's not, at the
Right.
forefront of my mind, it's more far
Mhm.
away.
Mhm.
And so that's why when a painful memory of something, when we are able to change the intensity of it, or that's changing the intensity of a food or a belief, when we imagine pushing that farther away or turning down the volume of it, the way it sounds,
Mhm.
we're shifting the way that those neurons are firing in the pattern that they're set in, that the
Right.
we're shifting the way that the neurons are firing with that experience. So you're teaching your brain that that threat or that belief, it no longer holds that emotional dominance, that strong emotional charge.
Right. Okay. And this
Does that
comes
make
with
sense?
threat. So we
Mhm.
think of emotional dominance as like a feeling of threat of some kind, but it can also be something else too. Like, you could think about that one time when you were really, really sad or really, really upset about something,
Mhm.
and you ate like a ton of delicious junk food, and then you felt so much better. Well, then that
Mhm.
encoded in you, when I eat all
Right.
of this junk food or when I eat all of this
Yes, there
food,
you
when I'm
go.
upset, I feel so much better. And then all of the
Mhm.
sudden, your new reach, is every time
Mhm.
I feel sad and upset, I reach for that food. And suddenly what
Mhm.
we have is food addiction. Suddenly what we have is some sort
Right.
of binge addiction. And then you get all these people saying, like,
You're
I don't want to eat that
firing.
food. But at
Mhm.
some point, I obviously learned that that food made me feel better. And now I can't stop.
Right.
Right? So it's not
Right.
always just like that's a threat and now it's not a threat. Sometimes it can be that's a comfort, but we actually want to
Right.
move away from that being a comfort. That's a good way of
Mhm.
kind of also seeing
Yeah,
it,
that's
right?
another way of thinking about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And even so like we did for you food, but like belief systems, like imagine a belief where someone is saying I'm not good enough. Now,
Mhm.
when you say that, I'm not good enough, just notice how it appears inside in your inner world, right? Perhaps, you think of when you think of I'm not good enough, does it feel like dull? Does it feel gray? Does it feel like heavy in your chest? What kind of voice is repeating? What's the tonality of the voice that's saying those
Mhm.
words, right?
Mhm.
And then if you think about, okay, now let me just change those qualities. Let me shrink if like that image of that I'm not good enough image is right in the forefront of your mind. Let me shift and shrink that image away. Let me push it far away. Let me dim the color. Let me turn the volume up of a voice or turn that volume down. Maybe all the way down. So maybe I'll even make it like a comical voice or or where I could barely hear it altogether.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then so when you're doing your emotional brain is rewiring, right? Those again,
Mhm.
those neurons firing together, they're starting to like, oh, distance. There's now we have opening more possibility for other neural pathways to strengthen, and then
Right.
that's how we could start recoding the meaning of our experiences.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, like to just think about, every habit, every belief, behavior that feels hard to change. It's because it's coded. It's coded in our mind like something that we like because again, it's been something that's very familiar or very safe to us.
Mhm.
Something like procrastination. procrastination, procrastination. It can make us feel very like um, secure or like cozy, even though we consciously may want to change procrastination, but we find some level of comfort with it. Like it just, and so because we've coded it that way.
Yeah. And this is a really cool little I feel like it's I feel like it's almost like a biohack. Like you did this little 15-minute process with me and I no longer wanted or needed 3 coffees a day. Um
hmm
it feels like a biohack to me, like, as a as a psychoanalyst and as a psychologist
Yeah.
and as a, like, we're gonna slowly but surely change these things, and we're gonna, layer these things into your life, and it's a slower, longer process when you use talk therapy, although um I think that it's a strong way to do it. I also think using something like this and then taking the time in talk therapy to like build in the other could be a
Yeah.
really great kind of combo. Like we can use this
Yeah.
hack, but that doesn't mean that
Absolutely.
that stuff didn't get there for a reason that we still need to undo. And that doesn't mean that that stuff didn't get there and make you feel safe and now you don't have it anymore. So we want to layer in more stuff. Like I think this really works complementary.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I like that because I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of people who are like, you can biohack your way out of your trauma. You can biohack your way out of you
Well,
can just NLP
mm,
your way out of whatever. And maybe that's true to a degree, but I think that deep, deep, deep psyche body work,
yeah,
um,
very important.
they really work together, actually. I think that this is
Absolutely.
the kind of the
Yeah.
idea of this podcast, like taking the psychology, taking the neurobiology, and taking the nervous system, and taking the spirituality, and really just blending it together. Um,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm tempted to just learn this and just do it all the time with people.
Yeah.
But I can see how maybe I would wanna add layers, but this is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something like to start. I would start, and with you, we actually did like a mapping across. We went from a dislike to a like, or we went from a like to a dislike.
Yeah.
But I would suggest for, listeners here to start with just shifting a submodality to something. Like if you have a belief again, like I'm not good enough, what does that feel like internally? Just write out, we'll attach a worksheet here so you could go through the process yourself, but write out, what does it feel like? What does it look like? And then just try shifting those visuals, the auditory, what you're feeling about it. And then the next step would actually be try to map it across, identify two things and then shift the submodalities and go back to that episode if you want to see how we did that. Um,
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we wanna just do these shifts. I think it works really well for addiction. I mean, I was probably a little
Yeah.
bit addicted to coffee.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't just a like to a dislike. It was an addiction that then softened. I've had quite a few people ask me
Right.
if it would work for smoking. What are your thoughts on that?
Mhm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's used a lot for that in NLP, for those little habits of, addictions.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like a really clear, like, if you have an addiction you want to shift, this is a way to really give it a try. And then you're
Yeah,
right also on beliefs, feelings about self, all of these things. That's there it's a great process for also learning how to dim the lights on that or to um
right.
I think then you end up needing to do the parts work that goes along with it, though, right? Like that
Mhm. Oh,
part who believes
absolutely.
that
Mm.
in my experience, the part who believes I'm not good enough believes it for a reason. So it's,
Mhm.
just to turn down the volume on that part feels a little bit like you're doing like a disservice to that, as I described it before, like child screaming on the balcony. Like we're not just going to turn the
Mhm.
volume down and say like you're fine now, we do need to
Mhm.
pay attention to those parts. And I know NLP does parts
Yeah.
work as well.
Yeah, yeah. But what I want to put out is like some people may think, oh, like we were forcing discipline or we're forcing something to change. But really what we're doing and your proof of this is we're shifting our association
Mhm.
with with the thing or the belief or the habit that we're trying to change. It's just
Mhm.
shifting our association, shifting again those internal codes of how we feel about something. And
Right.
um and then as we do this, what's this is just so cool to me. We're just training our nervous system to begin to reorganize itself. And again, going back to Hebb's law, neurons that once fired together in pain or in a strong like or whatever it is that we're shifting here, they start to fire differently. I do this for moms that I work with who have had pregnancy loss, right? This is something very delicate, and we have to be very mindful of what we're shifting and what we're looking at here because we're not removing pain, but we go back to a memory of something, and this is where this work could be so powerful because if we go back to a memory of something and we think back, like for example, a mom who has lost a baby, we go back to the memory, and most times what we stay with a strong emotional intense experience with is the painful parts of that, right? The painful parts of that memory.
Yeah.
But within that memory, within that image, there was also beautiful parts, right? The moments that we held the baby, we saw the baby, or what there's so many. I don't want to break that down into detail here, but then it's associating. Okay, I want to dim the lights, dim the association with all that painful stuff. It still exists, but I want to bring up the intensity, the love, the peace, the things that I feel with the beautiful parts that happen in that experience.
Right. Because
And
yeah, you had that pain and then there was also love, but the love is
right,
almost unfeelable because the loudness of the pain. So you're just shifting
right,
context.
yeah,
Yeah, I love
yes,
that.
yes.
So the hippo context is
Yeah.
changing the
I love
context,
that.
and then Tia stops
Right,
freaking out and starts going like,
right.
"Oh, this is a love moment," which then she's not
Yeah.
communicating to the nervous system like, high alert," so everybody can stay calm in the body.
Right, right,
Mm.
exactly. So we're able to the brain, again, this is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change here, and we're able to rewire through that conscious awareness. Now we're using, the consciousness, our conscious focus to dig into the subconscious. We're tapping into the subconscious because our reactions and all that, they're again happening out of the subconscious. 95% of the time, we're just like doing and thinking and behaving from the subconscious mind. But now we take that conscious awareness and focus and bring that and start rewiring. So it's all just super
Mhm.
cool. It's more submodalities and shifting them. It's more than just a mental trick. I mean, you can think about it like, I guess, like a mental trick, but it's the direct way to communicate with the subconscious mind, that part that runs 95% of all our behaviors and our
Uh-huh,
actions,
uh-huh.
by shifting how the inner representation of it all and the emotional charge of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this a lot. I think it was
Yeah.
such I mean, I truly was very willing, and I thought that was a neat thing that you the very first thing you asked was you actually asked my subconscious mind, was it willing to change the habit or the behavior or
Yeah.
whatever? And that was
Yeah.
kinda neat.
You had some questions about, the popcorn. Why I was
Yes.
bringing that up. Yeah, yeah. And so what I was just doing was I was clearing your mind. It's part of NLP. We do that every time, like, when we go through a process, we quickly just, because we're working so much with the subconscious mind, I'm just trying to distract you. You're consciously somewhere else and then bring you back to it. It's the technique that we use to kind of, um, disassociate from what we're doing, let it keep going in the subconscious mind and then bring you back in.
In
So
in forms of hypnosis that I've learned, it is that, like, you're on this process, you're on this process, you're on this process, and the mind is kind of doing its thing, and then you say something confusing, and it just, like, it
yeah,
shifts the person, right? Like,
yeah,
"Yeah, do you smell popcorn? What are you talking about? We're talking about coffee." Like, you bring me right back into the
yeah.
consciousness. Yeah, it's really cool. It
Right,
was
right.
really funny. Like, people were like, "What was the deal with the popcorn?" I was like, "I think she was just trying to bring me back into a consciousness with a little confusion."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was what that was about. But this is great, Carly. I think the main thing here is learning that this type of work, it's really like foundational work, to your point, of deep
Mhm.
change work.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
It's the foundation. So I would just, encourage everyone here just to practice noticing. How
Okay.
does your mind code fear? How does fear feel, sound, and look like in your mind? How does your mind code love?
Mhm,
How does empowerment feel? How does it look, sound, and feel all inside of you? So once you notice and you see the code
mhm.
of how it's written, then you could take the power to rewrite it to what
Yeah.
the experience is that you want to feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. This whole thing is really powerful because from a clinical perspective, working with people on like, okay, I've identified this thing that bothers me that I don't want anymore. And I've identified this new way that I want to go. We've talked about this, the different pathways. I don't want to go down that
Hmm.
path anymore. I want to go down that path now. But there's the how. There's the like, how do I
Hmm.
close this one and open this one? And
Yeah. Yeah.
some practice like this, what you're talking about, the submodalities and shifting the submodalities, It's a really powerful way to make this path smaller and
Yes.
allow you to feel like you can actually choose this path. It
Yes,
really
absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that almost like that missing piece that a lot of the time talk therapy works. It gets you there, but this is a cool little like you go in, you tune like on the remote and then you're
Control.
able
Mhm.
to yeah, on the remote control and then you're able to make those shifts
Yeah.
like a little easier. And I'm very curious about your one on procrastination. I think we might have to do a procrastination
Mm.
episode sometime because I know that very well in my lived experience, and I know that that's a big thing for a lot of people. Once I saw this little meme, and this guy had written, like, "That one time that I didn't study for an exam, and then I woke up in the morning, studied really fast, I went and did the exam and got an A." And he was like, "Now
Yeah.
my brain is just encoded to believe that I
Yeah.
never have to prepare." And every
Yep.
single time
Yep.
every time there's something to prepare for, I have this belief that I don't have to, even though I actually want to. I can't seem to make myself
You're
to. And,
right.
to your point, what you're
Yeah.
talking about is because you encoded success with that last minute cram. And so forever and
Mhm.
ever, that last
Exactly.
minute cram
Yep.
is going to be the thing your body feels is the grab, but it is
Yep.
not. That is not the grab. We do not want that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Some people just they've coded themselves with, oh, when I procrastinate, it's what makes me go and actually do last minute
Yes.
everything that I need to do. And then, they've coded themselves that way. So
Yeah.
got to
I think
break that pattern and
we
yeah.
should do an episode on procrastination, and I also really love that this episode was built on listener appreciation and listener kind of question and request. So I would still
Mhm.
really, really encourage people either on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever. If there's something that you're interested in, like how does this make
Yeah.
sense from the brain perspective? And then
Mhm.
what's the sort of neurobiology and neurological process, and then also the therapeutic process that could go with it. Even if it's just a
Yeah.
concept like procrastination, shout it out to us because this is fun for us to actually
Yeah,
have
it is.
something to
It
work
is.
off of. What
Yeah.
about procrastination? What about quitting smoking? What about sex addiction? What about whatever it is?
Mm.
We
Mhm.
we love these like little pop episodes where we just like take a concept, talk about the brain stuff, and then I can layer in a little bit more like self-love business for all of you
And
as
it
well.
all works together. It is
Yeah.
crucial. It all works together. You can't do one thing without if you're continuously talking crap to yourself,
Mhm.
you're gonna go back to that default mode, if you have to see what you're reinforcing everything with, right? The changes
Yeah.
that we make. So
Yeah.
it's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was super fun. I really appreciate
So
you
fun.
taking time to break it down a little bit more, Dee. I think that a lot of
Yeah.
people were really wanting that. I was
Mm,
wanting that, and I'm so excited that you're training me on this process so that I can offer it to other people as well. So,
absolutely.
I think you said you're gonna create a worksheet or an information kind of sheet,
Yeah,
and we're gonna
yeah.
link it.
Absolutely, yeah. So check out the description. We'll link a worksheet there, so you could work through this process yourself. There's also going to be links to Carlie and to myself, so that you could work with either one of us. Carlie is going to have this process in her toolkit too, so
Yep.
it's going to be great.
Yeah, if you wanna work with one of us to do it, if you wanna work with yourself, it's gonna be a free worksheet. You just pop your email in and we'll send it over to you. And this is the kind of stuff we really wanna get into, just having things available for you, having ourselves available for you, and, having a little more engagement. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. So, yeah, Dee,
Yes,
thank you so
yes.
much. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about the, submodalities that we talked about today?
Just again, keep in mind that you can tap into how you're coding this information yourself. You could have the ability and the power within that divinity. It all goes back to the amazing part of who we are as humans and how we're wired and how we've designed. But
Mhm.
to tap into yourself,
Yeah.
see how things are being represented internally. And through that awareness, through the understanding of what you're listening through here, like the neuroscience perspective of it all, the language of the subconscious mind, we have the ability to change it. So hopefully it's
Mhm.
a good takeaway for you guys. Again, leave us any comments, any questions, and see you on the next episode.